G'day, I'm Ash, and this is the dev server. Now, you're probably guessing by the title, probably wonder, hey, why is he making a video like this? And let's be honest, I haven't really been feeling the excitement in the air for a new patch for a long time. Something over, the last 6-7 months that I've been feeling with the game. I've been feeling really disheartened, really lost. Mainly because I am trying to branch out, trying to change the channel up a little bit. You can't be so WarThunder dependent in this day and age. Variety channels are not exactly on the rise. It's only specific channels that do specific things that get any traction. And I don't think I can stomach WarThunder after 7 years playing. That's right, I have 7 years playing this stupid game. I remember most of the patches. I don't remember all the details. I remember some of the good times and some of the bad times. It's been an utter roller coaster. I remember educating other content creators who have now blown up how to edit their videos. I remember helping people do cinematics and people do all sorts of things. We've reached a point in WarThunder where I don't get excited for a patch anymore. And this patch is like none other. You've got a new era of aviation entering the game. You've got a new nation. There is a huge amount of vehicles coming to the game. A huge amount. Is there anything particularly interesting? Yeah, sure. Most of it's copy-paste. But the majority of it is content nonetheless. And while you can argue that, sure, it's all copy-paste because of China, it's still content. And you've got to remember this, that WarThunder, in order to continue the player base, has to provide content on a regular basis. Or else the game is just outright going to fail hardcore. I think Guardian really know this. I mean, even the Chinese tree, look at the tank tree right now. The current problem being that at rank 3, you're going to have so much fun. Alright, chuck in the 257s. Alright, we're going to put in the T-34. Let's go put in the T-34. Let's go put in the T-34, the gay T-34, or the guy T-44, T-34. Let's just put in a Sherman, yeah? Why not? Let's put in a Sherman. We can put in a Sherman. Yeah, alright, we've got PT-76. You know what? We'll use it in reserve. Type 65, that's an event vehicle, but, we'll put it in anyway because it's fun, right? It's good fun. Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about the M18. Let's go put that in a crew slot. You may as well just have everything. And even, put in an IS-2. Why not put in an IS-2? It's 5.7. Beautiful. You know what? That's great. We've got a full lineup of vehicles here. Chinese IS-2, the Chinese T-34, another version of the Chinese T-34, the Sherman, which was given to Taiwan, PT-76, which, in itself was a meme, a Type 65, a really versatile vehicle, and then an M18. You've got an M18, a Sherman, and a T-34, plus you can bring out an IS-2. That is the most stupid thing ever. And it gets worse, though. Let's say rank 3, what can we do? We've got 5.7, so is there anything at 5.7 we can bring around? No, there isn't really much at 5.7. Hang on. There's a P-47. So let's go put that in our lineup. Right? Look at this thing. Yeah, it's just a P-47. Right, fair enough. Beautiful. Doesn't have any skins, doesn't have anything like that. Modifications. It comes with all the ordnance. Let's upgrade this thing. Let's have a look. Let's see what it gets. Because this can't be a thing, right? It can't be. You've got something that you can get rockets with this, This is a regular tree. This is something that, let's look at the loadout here. Alright, we've got everything. Now, 500 pounder bomb, 1,000 pounders times 2, 1,000 pounder and a 500, that'll probably be most likely. You've got the options of your HVARs. You can do your HVARs times 10 and your HVARs with the 1,000 pounders underneath. Look at that. And I believe that's a 250 or a 500. Look at that. And a P-47. Again, this is a battle rating. This is a battle rating that is really stupid. Let me select this one. That's a battle rating 4.7. Everything in this lineup is basically good to go. You just set up. You even take away one of the T-34s. You get rid of the PT-76. You've still got a very viable lineup. There's going to be no diversity in terms of anything else. Let's not mention aircraft. Aircraft is a bit of a shit show in itself. First off, I'm going to mention that the J-72, basically the MiG-21, it has 2 guns instead of 1. This thing, the other version of the MiG-21, which the Russians get, this thing gets an extra gun with an extra 60 rounds. I mean, that won't mean much in terms of firepower, but it will make a lot of difference when you don't really have much in the first place. Of course, it can get the PL air-to-air missiles ×2. But it kind of makes me wish that we had nukes in the game, although they said they never do that anyway. I just find this incredibly funny. So you've got all of these things coming together, and then you've got the F4 Phantom. And I mean, this is probably the biggest bane for me about 1.91. This vehicle is so damn good, it outclasses every single aircraft in War Thunder. And for your American fanboys, congratulations. But for everyone else, I mean, I just like aircraft in general. I don't necessarily care what it is. You sit there and tell me about details about an F4's radar guidance system, or how it relates to this aircraft. I'll listen, because that genuinely interests me. But War Thunder is a game that hasn't necessarily updated its maps or its particular equipment or its models past the World War II stage. Sure, we've got new maps, we've got Afghanistan and several other maps like that, but they're not really going to suffice when you're doing Mach 1.4 on a map that's designed for props that was designed 6 years ago, if you understand what I mean. And I've been playing this game for a very, very long time. I remember a lot of different details. Let's just take a look at the armament loadout here. This thing is going to be an utter monster. AIM-9 Bs ×4, okay, fair enough. That's not particularly too interesting. Cannons ×3, okay, fair enough. You can get cannon and the bombs. You can get the cannon and the bombs. It goes on, 750 times 12. You've got your 18, times 500s. There's a lot of bomb ordnance. You can get 1,000 pounders ×8. You've got your AGM bullpups. And you've got your different variants of the ones with the bigger explosive maps. You've got your Mighty Mouse missiles with 228 of those bloody fuckers. You've got bombs and missiles. And then you can also do AIM-9Bs, cannons and rocket pods. This vehicle is going to dominate top tier. And when I mean dominate, you're going to have a portion of your team that is A, going towards a bombing point and destroying a bombing point. Because the repair cost, well, initially it was reported that the repair cost was going to be 100,000. This thing's repair cost is now 14,595. Let that sink in. For the amount of ordnance, you could have 5 players who really want to win a game. In fact, you could have 3 players. 2 knock out all 4 bases, because you can take 2 each. The other one goes and dumps ordnance on the main airfield. All of the other jets return to base, rearm, take off. That's provided they get there. Do a little bit of air-to-air combat, and then go drop their bombs off on the base again and win the game. That's going to happen. You're going to see bomber rushes again. It's something that is a fighter that doesn't get the bomber limit. It's something that doesn't get the attacker limit as well, because each team is now limited to a certain number of attackers and a certain number of bombers. This is a fighter. It's got more ordnance than anything else in the game. Sure, the flight model is a bit iffy. Its radar systems are interesting, and it's got new flashy afterburner effects. But I'm not interested. I really am not interested. Because the core of the game is still World War II, and the core of the game is telling me, we haven't really updated, we haven't really polished all of our World War II maps yet. So, here's this new shiny Mach 2 jet to tide you over, because we haven't been complaining about lack of game modes or lack of fixes in the last, 5 years. I can't remember how many rant videos I have done. I've probably done 6 or 7 of them by now. But I'm just not feeling this patch at all. It's not necessarily a bad patch. There's plenty of content. As I said earlier, if they don't stop adding content, the game will outright die. But then you get stuff like the Chinese, right? And I mean, this is inevitable. We're going to get tech trees that have, copy-paste. You guys need to remember that this is still content. If someone has finished all their aviation tech trees and they want to go after a different aviation tech tree, well, now they can. There's something else for them to grind. Regardless of whether it's, has majority of rare event vehicles. Let's not mention the T-62 at all. And how much the Russian community is upset by this particular vehicle being a premium. And obviously this is the, I believe this is the vehicle that took part in some interesting activities in China as well. There's all sorts of things. And I don't necessarily understand. I don't understand at all. It's patch. It's great. There's new things. There's new shiny things. We've got thermals. We've got new jets. We've got, obviously, a brand new tech tree. We've got a huge amount of ships. And that's something to be celebrated. There's a lot of, like, new stuff in terms of fleet. I can't even pronounce this thing. The Arutha thing. Yeah, that. This is something to look forward to. The new Russian cruiser. The Chapev. Which is what we looked at in the last dev server video. This thing's going to be an absolute monster. But ships are irrelevant. They're still kind of in a developing phase. They haven't really given us a roadmap for what they intend to do. They haven't really given us any sort of ideals. They haven't given us any sort of direction. And I think that's part of the problem that WarThunder is facing. You have so many things going on at the same time, no one really knows what the major focus of the patch is. I mean, helicopters. Helicopters are good, right? Yeah, helicopters are great. But there isn't a dedicated mode for these guys. There isn't a mode that allows these guys to really flourish. There isn't really a reason for you to get these, aside from, like, blitzing out a whole entire tech tree of worth of tanks in one tank RB game. And this thing is surprisingly maneuverable. But to all you British fanboys, too, who are complaining about the lack of your electric lightning, it'll happen soon. It'll happen soon, guys. You need to calm your farm. There are other nations in the game, too, like Italy and France. France doesn't get a Mach 2 fighter. Italy doesn't get a Mach 2 fighter. Japan, well, they've kind of already got one, but regardless, the point still stands. Germany doesn't necessarily have one either, and we're expecting, German equivalent of this kind of tech as soon as well. Obviously, they do get this G91, which is nice, but also not really that nice in the same sense. Again, it's just another copy-paste vehicle. It's nice to see because the Germans did actually build and use G91s. But is it really game-changing? I don't think so. There is new missions in RB, Operation Middle East, Operation Lagoda, Operation Counterattack, and Operation Kokenmin in central Tunisia. And these are all new locations for what? For naval? I'm not entirely sure. They haven't specified on the dev blog at all. But the point stands. We've got too many things that are broken, and we're going to continue adding broken stuff. Power creep. It's just blatant power creep. I remember several patches ago when this started happening, we saw the rise of the 9.0 and the 8.0 premiums. Everyone was against them. But it didn't stop people from buying them because the vehicles were good. Hey, XM1 spam. Hey, this Leopard spam. Hey, this even Hellcat spam back in the day when it came out. I don't necessarily think that people realise the damaging effects that this can cause. It brings up a lot of questions. It brings up a lot of moral questions. For several reasons. You've got a game which inherently has a lot of issues, but they're trying to sweep it under the rug and pretend like it doesn't. I mean, they say they fixed several bugs on the following locations: Stalingrad, Mozdok, Korea, Crimp, support of Finland, and Coral Islands. They say they've done a bunch of bug fixes, and they have done a huge amount of bug fixes. But is it really enough to sort of satisfy the player that has been playing for 7 years? I'm really burnt out in this game, like extremely burnt out. It's a miracle that I even still cover the game in the first place. But I just think that this is the root of all problem. It just shows you... It's not even a money-making problem either. It's just a hype train. It's just to get you playing the game again. We've got several patches coming up, and I mean, this patch is going to come live probably next week sometime. The end of the year, we've got the end of the year patch coming up, so that'll be December, January. That'll probably be early, February. We've then got several things. We might have submarines. We might have bigger battleships. We might have more cruisers. We might have carriers. We might have more SAMs. We might have beyond visual range missiles, which is something that is a bit of a concern. We might even have, problems. There's going to be more problems than just this in terms of balancing. Let's put this in a cruise slot. I'm just going to have a look at this. That's not including the amount of drama that's going on in the community. It's absurd the amount of drama that we have in War Thunder right now. The community members and the community contributors, including the content creators, and even some of the forum members, we're not getting along. None of us are getting along. None of the content creators are getting along. Everyone has a different opinion. And everyone has a different idea how they fix the game. And everyone has a different idea, and if your opinion's wrong, then you're a fucking arsehole. Guess what, guys? It's all those content creators out there. Grow the fuck up. This isn't a play school. We're all here together. We're all here suffering together because a game isn't necessarily going to get better. So grow the fuck up. I just think it's absolutely despicable. Bloody child's play going on around here saying, oh, my opinion's more valid than you because I have more viewers than you. It doesn't matter in the end, guys. This game is basically as dead as a horse. It's, 60,000 active players. That's not exactly a lot of growth or room for you to grow in. There is a reason why some of the top-end guys don't necessarily hang out with the other creators. It's because of content like this. It's because of content like other content creators. Even some of the ones that have, stopped playing WarThunder, they come back to rant on the fact that the game's broken even though they don't fucking do anything. Yeah, okay. Whatever. I'm just speaking some truth here. I know that I'm not personally going to be playing 1.91. When the patch rolls around, I'm going to leave it for about a month or so. I'm going to be playing other games, let's be frank. China is nice. I think that it is content. I think that it's just a shame that everything else didn't get Mach 2 jets. I find that a particular shame. I find that a particular annoyance, especially when helicopters first came out and there was no helicopters for every other nation. And now Britain finally has helicopters. China doesn't have helicopters. It's a brand new nation. Japan's only got one helicopter. France has got a few. Italy doesn't have helicopters. Germany has. I think Italy is the last nation not to have helicopters. So there is that regard. And also naval. Where's naval for all the nations as well? If you're going to add a patch where it's adding two vehicles that are going to be the two dominant vehicles, you'd better hope... It's no wonder why all the other nations start crying and everybody goes their favourite nation is under attack or they're feeling like, particularly precious because they don't get their vehicle. Because the way you avoid this, Gajan, listen here, is by simply adding an equivalent of everything, even if they didn't have a supersonic, even adding an equivalent vehicle that they might have developed during the time period. If America is getting the F4, well, Britain should get an F4. If America is getting an F4, why doesn't Japan get its version of the F4? There are so many questions here. And I'm sure they'll add those later down the line. Hell, even Germany, I believe, had an F4, I think. And also a MiG. So what's that going to mean? I mean, the conversations that we've had 3, 4, 5 years ago about game balance, it's not going to go away. It's never going to go away. Why? Because nothing ever gets done about it. Our feedback goes nowhere. It just sort of evaporates into the mystical world of, hey, let's feed my ego and I'll get lots of views. I am completely honest here. I don't give a fuck about the new patch. I really could not care less. It's good, but it's not good. It doesn't fix a lot of things that I was hoping it would. But that's to be expected. They think the game is perfectly fine. I'm personally not okay with it. It's moved away from its more simulation-y, more realistic ties and sort of progressed into this money-making machine that hypes you up to buy a $60, $70 premium every single patch just to get the one new vehicle at the top end. And if that's what you're excited for and that's what you pay money for and that's what you play WarThunder for, fantastic. But if you're playing high tiers, that's okay, you can do that. However you play War Thunder is not necessarily going to affect my opinion or your opinion of the game, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have a strong opinion, and you've expressed that in several videos, in several comment sections, on a wide variety of content creators, and even some of the forums as well. I personally just like low tier. It's a little easier, a little fun, a little less caring. There's no tryhards, there's no salty people. The only salty people you'll get is people complaining about an OP vehicle at low tier. I don't really see a necessity where War Thunder's future is necessarily secured. There's going to be a point in time where they can't continue adding stuff, and where they have to really address the game itself. What's left? We've got more modern SAMs, you've got multiple rocket launcher systems, you've got homing like torpedoes and anti-ship missiles and surface-to-surface missiles and so on and so forth. You've got more modern vessels, your frigates, your destroyers. You've got battleships, carriers, probably, I don't know, supply frigates and different game modes than that. You've got more helicopters. Obviously, you've got submarines. You've got the rest of Mach 1 and Mach 2 jets to fill in. There's pockets of just emptiness in Italy's tech tree. We have a look at aviation. The F-86K really doesn't cut it in terms of technology. I mean, now France is looking a little bit vague as well. I mean, this is their top tier now. China's looking okay. China will be fine. It's got everything it needs. Hell, even a Tu-4 with 100,000 repair cost. I don't even think the Russian one. Let's go have a look at the Russian one. Yep, no, the Russian one's got its repair cost upgraded as well. There's too many issues. You could be here for weeks. HD models, HD cockpits, better UI, better graphics, performance improvements, sprites for 2D sprites, so that way people who have ultra low can still see trees instead of you getting sniped across the map. Thermals and infrared is only going to bring up more issues with top tier rather than fixing them. Oh yeah, I'm just going to sit at my spawn and just watch someone in Poland at the other side of the map just drive 2 meters, and I'm going to fire an anti-tank missile at them and watch them completely die. Anyway, it's irrelevant, it's pointless. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. My name's Ash, and I'll see you, I guess, sometime soon. If you like watching my other content, I'll continue doing that. But War Thunder for now is on a definite hold. But I'll still play it with friends occasionally, and I will still keep up to date with what's going on. But I don't necessarily think that this patch is that much of an interest for me personally. Being an ancient player, being the veteran who's invested nearly 3,000, well actually, it's probably over 5,000 hours into this game, I think it's time to put down the game for about 3-4 weeks and then leave it at that. Alright, you have a good day. Sorry for listening, sorry for all of you to listening to my rant, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.